What's going on, people? Welcome to another edition of the Strategic Eyes Show. Appreciate you guys for joining me on this early morning live. You guys are amazing. I hope you guys enjoy the show today. We got a real interesting topic to talk about. We're going to be talking about this, what is her name? Kaylee Gaines. Kaylee Gaines, the young lady who was assaulted. She had her head basically bashed into concrete, resulting in her having severe cognitive repercussions. I think she just now started walking again. She's walking. Allegedly, the parents are saying that she talks in a loop. She's got definitely some brain trauma. And from my understanding, she's supposed to get another surgery this summer to repair a piece of her skull that was damaged, obviously, when she was getting her head bashed in. We're going to talk about this. Young lady's out of Missouri. This happened in Missouri. And I think it's a complicated story. And I think both sides are getting it wrong. Because right now, like there's the conflicting people. There's people on the left who are kind of saying that this is racial, and that the young lady, the African American girl, her name is Mornice DeClue, did nothing wrong, and that it was self-defense. On the right side, it's kind of like, look at this, savage, angry black little girl who doesn't know how to act and probably came from a single parent home, and she needs to go to jail and she needs to be charged as an adult. On the extremes, you're seeing this hate speech from both sides, right? But the truth lies somewhere in the middle. We're going to talk about that truth today. We're going to talk about the nuance of this story, and I'm going to tell you what I feel about what should happen to Mornice DeClue based off of those facts, the facts that are out there, if you're just willing to look a little bit. So before we get started, let's do the chair if it worked, because I haven't been working in the last few lives. I don't know if you heard it or not, but it's supposed to be a yeah. Let me stop. Anyway, so let me go ahead and bring this up. I want to well, let me tell you a little bit what's going on. So first of all, big shout out to Lucifer the Doberman. Thanks for coming through, supporting the channel. We got Stacy in the building as well. So basically, they had this fight, right? This African American teenage girl fought a Caucasian teenage girl outside of school. And during the fight, it started off as a one-on-one fight. People kind of coming in a little bit, but then friends on both sides. And we got to point out, number one, that as usual, kids are usually light years ahead of adults. Because in this, even though adults want to make this a racial thing, if you look at the fight, it was multi-ethnic on both sides. So Kaylee had black friends on her side, and Mornice had white friends on her side. Like, they had a mixture of black and white friends. So to these kids, it had nothing to do about race. What it did have something to do about was friends beefing, cliques, groups of friends, multicultural friends beefing. And unfortunately, the victim was the catalyst. Unfortunately, Kaylee was the main antagonist in this group affair, right? So what occurred is, the day before, Kaylee had a fight with one of Monice's friends. That friend was not suspended because Kaylee was the aggressor. Kaylee was suspended for fighting Monice's friend. Kaylee was barred from being on school grounds and school property. Now, after that fight, Kaylee and Monice, they started having a text war. And in that text war, I'm hearing from sources, I'm going to read you what the parents say, but there are people in Reddit and other places, you take all of this with a grain of salt, who are saying that once again, Kaylee was the aggressor. Kaylee was the aggressor in that text message. And when I read you what the parents have to say about after they reviewed Kaylee's phone, it's going to sound as though their daughter was the aggressor, but they don't want to say that because they don't want to, turn the public against their daughter. Now, what I'm saying now has nothing to do with what I'm going to tell you guys later how I feel about this. I might be on Mornice's side. I may be on Kaylee's side. I may be in the middle. So you got to stay tuned. But you got to get the backstory before we get to the meat and potatoes. So people are saying on Reddit, people who are getting leaks from Monice's side, because of course she has her side of the text messages, but she hasn't released anything, that it was Kaylee who's the aggressor, who's like, I'm going to beat you up, I'm going to this, I'm going to that. I'm going to read for you an article from the New York Post where the father of Kaylee is basically mush-mouthing. It's kind of both of them, both. No. People always do that when they're trying to diminish responsibility from somebody who is the antagonist and aggressor. The best way is not to say, well, they didn't do anything wrong, because obviously we'll have proof that they did something wrong. The best way to go about that is to basically mitigate blame and putting on both sides. So let's go to those text messages and let's read it. Let me share my screen with you so you guys can take a look while I read it. We'll do this together. So this is the New York Post. Kaylee Gaines' father reveals details of text war which led to near-fatal fight, updates her recovery, some days better than others. And I got to tell you, he does not reveal the text messages. The father could easily have released those text messages, but he did not. He gave us his summary of those text messages. His summary of those text messages. So tragic teen Kaylee Gaines had been exchanging digital insults for weeks with the adversary who bashed her head into the pavement on March 8th. Her father has exclusively revealed to the Post. Clinton Gaines, 41, details now how his daughter suffered brain bleeding, can't walk by herself now, talks in a loop. She struggles to recover from the life-altering school beatdown. The father and Kaylee's stepmother, Jamie Gaines, told the Post that they combed through the 16-year-old's device to understand what led to the caught-on-video clash, which made global headlines. The teens, several sources have said to the Post, were part of rival friend cliques at Hazelwood East High School near St. Louis. Let's keep going. The conflict finally boiled over after Kaylee got into a fight at school with DeClue's friend, an episode which led to her suspension the following day. That altercation set off a fresh round of phone threats between Gaines and DeClue. Notice they said between Gaines and DeClue. You can read into that if you want, but normally the person you put first is the aggressor, but I might just be reading into it. It's not that important. Let's keep going. Now charged with felony assault. And the two girls agreed to square off on one-on-one. Her dad said, adding he didn't want to disclose the exact content of the messages. Why wouldn't you do that? Let's use our critical thinking brain, ladies and gentlemen. If my daughter is in critical condition, or at least was in critical condition, and she was severely injured, and there needs to be a price to be paid for that. That's what we do in our society. Retribution, deterrent, that's part of the tenets of our criminal justice system. Retribution is revenge for the victim. Deterrence is making a punishment that other people will see that you suffered and think twice if they're going to do the same thing. So let's not get away from that. That's a fact. That girl Moniz did something wrong. But if you're the father of a young girl who experienced what Kaylee Gaines experienced and had to go through the medical ordeal and a life-threatening and possibly life-changing ordeal that she went through, and you comb through her phone and you see her being victimized by the person who ended up hurting her, wouldn't you release every single detail of that evidence that benefits your daughter being a victim? Wouldn't you do that? I think most people would. But you wouldn't do it if when you read those text messages, you see that your daughter got a potty foul mouth and she's over there goading this girl to fight her. You wouldn't release it if you saw that your daughter was the aggressor, would you? So anyway, let's keep going. So the altercation set up, blah, blah, blah. They both agreed to fight, to meet up and settle what was going on. You notice that. Mitigation, right? Both of them. Mitigation. Even though your daughter is the one who was suspended and was not supposed to return to school, and she decided to leave the safety and sanctuary of your home to go down to school and have yet another fight, which probably would have resulted in her getting expelled if she did not get critically injured the way that she did. But let's keep going. The heartbroken father's current wife, Jamie, accompanies him to visit his child in the hospital on a daily basis. She said both teens have made the terrible decision. Once again, mitigation. Your daughter's in the hospital fighting for her life. If your daughter was the victim, you would not be mitigating it. You would not say both teens Both teens made a terrible decision. That would not be the language that somebody would use if they knew that their daughter was a victim through and through. Let's keep going. The couple pushed back on a narrative Kaylee had bullied the Clue, 15, and said their messages to each other were equally hostile. So why don't you release them then? Why won't you release them? We hope the justice system sees that she went way overboard and nearly killed her. I can agree that her actions were very dangerous to the life of Kaylee, and she needs to pay. But we're going to get to that portion soon. And it does not matter who said what to who before it all happened. That's another mitigation. The parents are saying it doesn't matter who said what to who. She went too far. But it does matter, because when you're in the criminal justice system, when you're away from the public opinion, when you're away from internet people like myself and all these other people trying to pull you in different directions to tell you who's right and who's wrong, when you are in a court of law, it matters, because it's the totality of the circumstance that matters. Example, we talked about the situation with Roger, what's his name? Ooh, what is this guy's name? The gentleman who got shot, Roger Fortson. We talk about Roger Fortson, right? If the officer would have went to the door, knocked on the door, and immediately said police, which he did not do. Remember that? He knocked on the door twice, did not say police. On the third knock is when he said police. And in the first and the second knock, each time he knocked, he moved away from the door. He was like 5-6 feet away from the door. Remember that as well. Now, I was watching Law and Crime, and they had a retired sergeant from the New York City Police Department. I think he has like sergeant with true crime or something. He's got his own show. I'm sure he's a very knowledgeable guy, but he's like, oh, you know, when a guy bladed the door like that, when a guy moved away from the door and bladed the door, that's what you're supposed to do. That's proper tactics, da-da-da-da. That's wrong. It's wrong. Blading the door is proper tactics. What that officer did was not blading the door. He literally walked away from the door. That's not proper tactics. Every officer knows nobody's going to open your door if they don't know that you're the cops. Every officer knows that. So what you do is you blade the door, as in you're on the side of the door, but you can still be seen through the peephole. That sergeant also said that peephole was one of those 180-degree peepholes. I don't remember seeing that. 180-degree peephole is a peephole that pops out like this, and it looks like a pyramid. That looked like a regular inside of the door peephole. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me, and I will correct myself and apologize to, you know, that YouTuber who made his comments, the sergeant guy. I apologize if I'm wrong, but my recollection is that was a regular in the whole peephole. Those aren't 180 degrees. Those only see what's right in front of you. So if you have a regular see right in front of you peephole and the officer walks 6 feet away down the hallway, you're not going to be able to see that person. And if they're saying police and every time you look through the peephole, you don't see them, you're going to assume somebody might be trying to attempt a home invasion on you. You might go arm yourself if you're a gun-carrying Second Amendment U.S. citizen. You might go get that gun, which is exactly what our Air Force veteran did, the dearly departed. So yes, you blade the door. You blade the door as in you step to the side of the door, but you can still be seen through the peephole. Maybe I'll show you guys. I'll do a video and show you how to do it. That's the training. I've never been in a training that tells me knock the door and run halfway down the hallway. Of course, I'm exaggerating. He didn't run down the hallway, but he certainly was at least 5 to 6 feet away from the door. He might have been in a room. If you open up this man's house, the guy was so far back in the hallway, he might have been equivalent to a room outside of a room inside of the airman's apartment. That's how far back he was. So how is somebody supposed to look through their people and see that? So it's the totality. So, I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent. My point in bringing up the airman is that if the officer would have knocked on the door, bladed the door in a proper tactical fashion, which allows the occupant of the house to look out and see that police are out there, and he immediately announced himself as police, and then the airman still opened the door with a gun on his side, even though he has a right to do that, I would say I'm erring on the side of the officer. That's a justified shoot. But when we look at the totality of the story and you see all the mistakes, I believe they are mistakes that the sheriff made before shooting Roger Fortson, then that's when I say, hey, it looks like murder. Didn't say it is murder. But I said it looks like murder. It needs to be further investigated. If he did it the right way, I'd say I don't even need an investigation. I'm going to err on the side of the sheriff's deputy. But because he didn't do it the right way, or he did it this odd way, and it could reasonably be construed that his actions confused the occupant of the house, Mr. Roger Fortson, then I'm going to say it needs further investigation. It looks like it could be murder. Same thing goes here. We got to look at the totality of the story. We can't just look at her bashing the girl's head into the ground. We have to look at the totality of the story to figure out how the hell did we get here, and can those actions previous to the actual crime mitigate? There is something called mitigation in court. Can it mitigate what the girl did when she bashed this girl's head in the ground? And in this, it's about, is it going to criminal court for adults, or is it staying in juvenile court? That's the mitigation that we're looking for. It's no doubt that the little girl, Moniece, needs to pay a price for what she did. The question is, where is she going to pay that price? Is it going to be in criminal court for adults, or is it going to be in juvenile court? So let's keep going. I was really concerned, really worried when I first saw her in the hospital, but we're there every day. We just want to be there for her every day. The couple also gave the Post an inside view into Gaines' grueling recovery process. And, you're going to talk about how she's got to, heal and all that stuff. I'm not trying to skip over like I don't respect this little girl. It's just not relevant right now. And that's it. Oh, here we go. Gaines and Decloux had met in an area known to host team fights roughly a mile away from their school on the day of the altercation. The two threw shots before Decloux got the upper hand, mounting Gaines and repeatedly smashing her skull against the sidewalk. Prosecutors are now attempting to charge Decloux as an adult. Decloux's parents and attorney have told the Oz she's an honors student who speaks multiple languages and played in violin in a school band. The funny thing is that stuff is true. That's true. So let's talk about, and I'm going to show you this video because it gets a little bit more complicated now that they're doing these certification hearings, which are basically hearings to determine whether she's charged as an adult or as a juvenile. The truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, that Decloux really was an A student and is. The truth of the matter is that Decloux had never faced any disciplinary action in that school before. The truth of the matter is Decloux is an honor student. The truth of the matter is Decloux has the support of all of her teachers, that she is a good child and would never engage in this type of conduct again. The truth of the matter is that Kaylee Gaines is a juvenile delinquent. The truth of the matter is that Kaylee Gaines has been in multiple fights, has been in trouble multiple times in school, has terrible grades, does not listen, from my understanding, allegedly was a problem child for her family, and her parents know it. The truth of the matter is that it appears that this young lady, Moniece, should be charged in juvenile court. It does not excuse what she did. It does not mean that she should not face time in a juvenile detention center. It does not mean that the family should not sue Moniece's family for restitution or whatever. It doesn't mean any of those things. All it means is that she's a child. Her brain is not fully developed. She was put into a situation by Kaylee Gaines. Kaylee Gaines is the aggressor. That is a fact. It is a 100% fact that Kaylee Gaines is the aggressor. Kaylee Gaines wanted to fight her. Kaylee Gaines fought her friend 24 hours prior. Kaylee Gaines was punished for fighting Moniece's friends 24 hours prior. Kaylee Gaines is on text messages threatening this girl and goading this girl to fight. Kaylee Gaines comes and meets up with her posse. And throws the first punch. Kaylee Gaines put herself in that situation. Now, Moniece went too far, and she needs to learn a lesson about restraint. She needs to learn a lesson about accountability. Sometimes good people have to go to jail. Sometimes good people have to face consequences for their actions. But where do we put this case? Is it going to help society to put Moniece Decloux in criminal court, send her to prison, and give her a record as an adult for the actions of Kaylee Gaines? I don't think it is. So let's watch this coverage on the certification hearings. And also remember, we won't be able to see inside the court because we're dealing with juveniles, okay? If it does go to criminal court, then there's a small possibility they might allow it to be televised. But even if it goes to adult court, they'll still be conscious of her age, even though they're charging her of adult, and they may not want cameras to go inside. But we definitely don't have cameras in the court now because she's still considered a juvenile, and hopefully it'll stay that way. So let's watch the reporting, and you're going to listen to some key things that shows you that the family of Kaylee Gaines knows that she is a problem child, and she is her actions have set into motion the possibility of destroying a young woman's life who would have had a very bright future. Let's keep going.
A pivotal hearing adding context to a fight that made national headlines. This Facebook video showing the moment that changed Kaylee Gaines' life forever. Well, now we are learning more about the 15-year-old who fought her and her relationship with Gaines. Our Shoshana Stahl was in the courtroom today.
March 8th, 2 lives changed with the fight near Hazelwood East High School. 2 months later, inside a courtroom in the St. Louis County Courthouse today, a new report was disclosed by a juvenile officer. It details happenings before that brutal.
All right, so the juvenile officer, the person who's doing this pre-sentencing, or not, well, this report, it's not a pre-sentencing report, but it's a report to aid the judge in determining if she should be charged as a juvenile or an adult. This is a neutral party. This is somebody who's supposed to look at the facts and come up with a determination on what best serves justice, right? This is not a friend of Moniece DeClue. This is a neutral party. Now listen to what the neutral party had to say.
Beating. The officer looked at the police report, the suspect's school records, and had conversations with her and her parents. The officer concludes the 15-year-old wouldn't repeat this, having no priors, and recommends the judge keep her case in the juvenile system.
So we certainly agree with the juvenile officer. I'm glad that they made that decision.
So this is the attorney of Moniece DeClue. But this gets really interesting. Let's keep watching.
They handle these types of cases every day.
The 15-year-old girl's attorney presented the judge that she has a stable home life, is a good student with high grades, and even called the girl's Spanish teacher in to vouch for her.
A terrible choice was made by 2 teenage girls.
This is the attorney for Kaylee Gaines. Listen to how he talks about this circumstance. Does this sound like a circumstance where they're looking at Moniece like she's a demon? I don't know. You be the judge. Listen to this. Let me bring it back so you can hear it from the beginning.
Spanish teacher in to vouch for her.
A terrible choice was made by 2 teenage girls to solve their issues through violence. This caused one of them to go too far with her bare hands in a concrete road.
Brian Cameron.
You see that? Mitigation. Spreading out blame between 2 parties because in actuality, aside from the slamming of the head in the concrete, all of the blame lies with Kaylee. And listen, when this first happened, remember my coverage. I don't know, I had to delete a lot of videos from the channel for us to get monetized, so I don't know if my videos on this were deleted. It was part of my purge. I literally just went and erased everything, basically. Mostly everything but my highest viewed videos. But when I first covered this, I said, whoa, my God, this is horrible. Moniece DeClue needs to be in jail. I want to wait for more information, but she definitely needs to be in jail. I was never on the side of Moniece DeClue. But facts are facts, ladies and gentlemen. I definitely was not on no bandwagon. I wasn't on my power to the people, got to support the black sister stuff. I wasn't on none of that stuff. In fact, I'm never on that stuff. You're on the wrong channel if you think I am. But I definitely wasn't on it. I was on, damn, what she did to that girl, Kaylee, was horrible. And she needs to pay a price. But you know what? Let's wait and see what else is going on with this because it might be more complicated. And I was right. Because Kaylee is a demon. And I'm so sorry that this happened to this little girl. I want her to get a speedy recovery. But this little girl had problems. This was a problem little girl. Let's keep going.
Represents Kaylee Gaines' family who attended the court hearing. He read to us a statement about how this has affected Kaylee's family.
It was a horrifying image, one that will live forever in our memories, and it's something that we pray that no other parent ever has to experience.
After a month hospitalized and weeks in rehab, Kaylee is home, but still has to do physical and speech therapy.
Maybe this will slow her ass down. Stop being a fighter. Relax. You learned a big lesson. You learned a big lesson.
And she'll have another surgery this summer to reattach part of her skull.
While our daughter will, in all likelihood, need lifelong medical care and therapy to overcome the injuries and trauma that were inflicted on her, we pray that the juvenile shows remorse and takes accountability for her actions.
In the courtroom, the suspect's mom, in tears, apologized to Kaylee's family. In the end, the judge decided the 15-year-old needs to stay in the juvenile detention center for the time being, despite the girl's attorney trying to get her house arrest.
Disappointed with the court's ruling. She's been in detention 2 months now. As you heard in the hearing, she's done fantastic in detention.
And
So this little girl's continuing her education, from my understanding, in detention, and she's once again maintaining straight A's in detention while she's going to school there. Hold on, let me let it finish out, and then I'll tell you what's
Shauna, is there a timeline when we can expect the suspect to be certified?
So the judge doesn't really have any set time. It could be days, it could be weeks on whether or not he does certify that suspect. We know the defense attorney saying he hopes it would be within a week to 2 weeks, but there's no real set deadline. And then once that happens, it then kind of kickstarts when the case would then go for that first-degree assault. She could then be either charged as an adult or continue in the juvenile system with that aspect of the case. But as of right now, it could be days, it could be weeks. It's kind of all up in the air and up to the judge.
And
all right, so I think that if they decide to charge her as an adult, this would be a miscarriage of justice. Honestly, it's a miscarriage of justice. The mitigating circumstances to this definitely show that this girl had no intention of trying to kill this young woman. Not that even matters, whether she had intention or not. She's a juvenile. She's a juvenile. This little girl, Kaylee, is engaging in violent behavior, goading people to fights, and she messed with the wrong one. She messed with the wrong one, all right? And it's unfortunate that Moniece DeClue went too far, and she needs to, listen, when I say it needs to go in juvenile court, in no way am I saying this girl's supposed to get off. Juvenile is not guilty, go back to school and have a nice day. They could determine in juvenile court that Moniece gets sentenced to stay in juvenile prison until she's 21 years old. They could decide to do that. They could literally find her guilty in juvenile court and have her incarcerated in a detention center, a juvenile detention center, until she's 21 years old. Juvenile detention centers hold you until you're 21. That could be her sentence. That literally will destroy the rest of her childhood. She'll spend the rest of her teenage years in a lockup facility. That could be the decision. Guess what? When you bang somebody's head into the concrete, this is possibly what might happen to you. It's also possible you might go to adult prison too. But I think when you look at the totality of the circumstance in this story, you have to admit that the main aggressor was Kaylee. Kaylee went out of her way to find Moniece DeClue. She went out of her way to be a tough guy. And guess what? She got more than what she could bite off to chew. It is what it is. Lucifer the Doberman says putting 20-year-olds and 15-year-olds in the same prison is a bad idea. They have a system of doing it. They're not together. So once you get to a certain age, you go to this part of the facility where you're with older kids, or you get transferred to a different facility that pretty much deals with older kids. They don't just, you got a 12, a 13-year-old in the same facility with, a 21-year-old. It doesn't work that way. And that's a good statement to make, though, because if you don't know, it definitely sounds outlandish and ludicrous. But once again, these juvenile detention facilities are sometimes worse than adult prisons. There's a lot of sexual abuse that happens in those juvenile detention facilities, not even from the staff, from the children on the other children. This is not a cupcake place. All right. There's a lot of fights. There's a lot of raw emotions because you're dealing with children who can't modulate their emotions. And most of them already have behavioral issues to start with. So you put a straight A student who doesn't have any disciplinary issues like Moniece DeClue in a juvenile detention facility. I mean, she looks like she could fight, so maybe she'll be able to defend herself. But think about what she's going to experience being in a facility that's housed with children who really are about that life. House with children that got a mentality like Kaylee Gaines, but they could fight like Mornice DeClue. Think about that. You really got some monsters you got to, survive against. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a pretty place, but it's what best serves justice. And I think justice is best served by having this young lady tried as a juvenile and have her punished for what she did, because what she did was wrong, but there are mitigating circumstances. So that's all I got on that one. Appreciate you guys for coming through. Let me see if I got something else for you before I get the hell up out of here. I am watching this case right here. Let me bring it in the view for you guys. I'm watching this case. This is with the South Carolina pastor whose wife she ended her life with self-ending, self-harm. I don't know how to say it on YouTube to not get smashed by the YouTube moderators or whatever. But this is a very interesting case because first everybody thought that he had hurt his wife. He ended her. And then a 911 call came out where the wife is like, I'm going to the woods. I want you to know where somebody said I Minecrafted myself. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, or themselves. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna say Minecrafted. And so first it was like, oh, this guy, he's so swarmy, something's wrong with him. Something's off with this guy. He probably ended his wife. And then a 911 call recording came out with the wife talking to the dispatch operator, basically planning out her ending, telling the operator where to find her body and all that stuff. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna Minecraft myself, and this is where it is. And can you ping my phone? Because I want my family to be able to find my body. And she's saying all this crazy stuff, and then she ends up gone. But then now I'm hearing that the FBI has now decided to assist in this investigation because his ex-wife, who's still alive, said that he engages in trafficking and messing with minors. And here's the kicker. He met his wife that Minecrafted herself when she was just 12 years old. But he didn't marry her till she was 18 or something, or 19. And people are saying, did he do something with her at that very young age? What's going on? He's substantially older than his departed wife, who's super older than her. He just doesn't look old. He looks young, but he's a mature guy. And here's the ex-wife saying, hey, this guy likes young kids, and this guy does trafficking and all this extra stuff, and he's into really weird stuff with animals and stuff like that, I'm hearing. He's into all of that nasty stuff. And now the FBI is like, hold on, wait a minute. Even though we have a video, an audio of his wife saying, I'm going to end myself and you can find my body over here. And then they found her body exactly where she said she was. We're joining in on this and we're going to investigate this. That means that there's smoke. And if there's smoke, there's fire. So I'm following this. I haven't done a video on it because it's so complicated. I really want to get a grasp of it before I talk about it. I want to engross myself in understanding it. But this is shaping up to be a very interesting case. I definitely would encourage you guys to start following it for yourself. Very, very, very interesting case. Anyway, I got to go do some yard work. I'll see you guys in a bit. Please make sure that you join the Strategic Eyes Show. Oh, one more thing. Let me go ahead. I want to show you guys the new merch that we have. I just put it out there. I just put it out there on a webpage. Let me go ahead and bring this up. This is so cool. I think you guys will love this. I think you like it because I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Let's go ahead. Put this right here. Paste. Go. Ooh. Oh, why is it not here? I gotta find a way to like fix this and link it up because all right, I gotta figure this out. See here. Because a lot of the stuff I do from my phone, and it's hard to navigate. It's hard to get things done when you're doing it by your phone. But I'm gonna figure out how to do this to make sure that's in the store, because I just checked the store and the new teas weren't there. But I'm gonna make sure that we hook this up. It's weird that's not there. I appreciate you guys for being patient. Well, here's it is. This is it right here. Ah, here we go. It's weird that what's wrong with this? So stupid. I just want to show it to you guys at least. Jesus Christ. All right. Stores. Why won't it show the shit I want to fucking see? I'm sorry, I'm over here cursing, acting like a big baby right now. All right, anyway, so I added 2 new teas to the store. Apparently it hasn't, done its thing yet. I'm going to have to fix it. So we'll get to that. I'll fix it. I'll get it going. There's some tees and hoodies that I think you guys would like. The t-shirt is $22.99. The hoodie is $40.99. And I'm not going to tell you what it is until you see it. So just stay tuned. Soon as I get off this live right now, I'm going to fix it. And then you guys will be able to check that out. I'm going to be adding more tees. I do these designs myself. I'm not a graphic designer, so I'm trying my best, okay? But I think I like it. It is what it is. So I see you guys on the next one. You guys make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you become a member of the Strategic Eyes Show. We do have a membership. We would appreciate your membership and your support as we try and rebuild the show, rebuild the membership after being suspended from the YouTube Partner Program for almost 4 months. 4 months we were suspended. We lost out on a lot of money. I had some very nice shows, very lucrative shows that were especially on my shorts that had one short has 11 million views. 11 million views my short has. And there was thousands of dollars that were going to come to me, and then YouTube demonetized me over a video I dropped about a police shooting, and then they took all that money. They've never given me that money. Now that I'm remonetized, that money has not come back to me. YouTube literally took that money away from me. It's really screwed up. I hear from YouTubers that they do this all the time. When you got a big payday and you're a small channel, they'll find a reason to give you a strike or something and demonetize you, take the money, only to allow you back into the partnership program a couple months later. Maybe I'm being a conspiracy theorist or something. I don't know. But it sure appeared that way, that this was a strategic strike against the channel. But we're back again, and hopefully we can build the show back and not antagonize YouTube and be able to actually make the show revenue neutral. Like, I'm not asking for the show to make me rich. It's not going to happen. I'm just asking to bring in enough revenue to actually pay for the bills of the show. That's it. And then I'm good. That's it. I work my ass off. I'll be fine. I'll support my family. It's all good. But a hobby, a labor of love like this should not result in me having to use the money that I work my ass off on a day job to come here and talk to you guys. The show should pay for itself at the bare minimum, and that's what we're striving for right now. So anyway, guys, I love you with all my heart. I see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.